Those kids that brought me in and we couldn't even speak the language, we couldn't even communicate, we're communicating through sports. That had profound impact on my life.
Welcome to the SGV Master Key, a show where you will hear personal stories of triumph over failures and how others successfully navigated the unique landscape that is the San Gabriel Valley. What makes us different? Well, just like you, we have chosen the San Gabriel Valley for our home or businesses or both. We believe it is the people and small businesses that make this community great, and we love to share their stories with you. We always encourage your questions and feedback, and you can find all of our contact information at sgvmasterkey.com. Here are the hosts for the show, Russell Mono and Scott Warmoth.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the SGV Master Key. It has been a while, and we're in a totally different place, Scott.
Right. I'm sure anybody who has watched before, I mean, now we're in a cave, a real studio.
Yes.
Real studio. The other, of course, previously we were at a very well-lighted room. But yeah, it's a new start.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, that place was your home. And almost everything was white or a shade of white, and then there was a whole wall of natural light coming in.
Yeah, right. And it was just, really good. Well, I don't know how you professionals would have gauged the light, but, to me it was like nice to have all that light.
Oh, yeah. I didn't, it was the lighting guy here who said, let's turn everything dark. So I said, okay, if that's the way to go. So,
right, yeah.
Anyway, so, we've been working on this. We haven't had a guest on in a while, but I'm sure we can get into the swing of things pretty easily.
Oh yeah, right back into conversation.
Sure, yeah. And today's guest is, has something to do that's with what's near and dear to my heart, which is, sports and activities and for kids. And, your kids were involved in sports growing up, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, I did something that I was not qualified to do. I coached soccer for 10 years. And our guest is Paul LeDoux, and he laughs at that because he actually is coaching and training kids in soccer, and he knows what he's talking about, It's like for me, I couldn't tell you what offsides is, or, I don't even know how many players there are on a soccer team. But, the funny thing is my son grew up, that's his favorite sport, and he's just like into it 100%, every Sunday morning or whatever, he's watching Liverpool, But, it's important, the influence that a coach and or trainer or just an adult in the life of a child is. And so Paul LeDoux is our guest today. Welcome and thank you for coming. And let's talk about what you do. So what do you do? Can you explain what your life is about as a coach?
Well, thank you for having me, Scott, Russell, Victoria. Nice to meet y'all. What my life is about is my profession. I don't know if I'm qualified either. I kind of just fell into this job with a gentleman who owns a company, Assist Athletics, and he hired me, and I just fell in love with working with kids and being outside and being able to teach them my love for soccer and other sports. And my philosophy is I just want the children to associate sports with fun. That's my whole goal. Is sports saved my life. It's been my saving grace, ever since I was, I want to say, 6 years old. I could always turn to sports, whether it be outside with the neighborhood kids or playing on a team or just playing by myself. I'm so competitive, and it's like my outlet. It's my peace, my meditation. It's where I go, where I don't have to worry about the past or the future or bills or, COVID-19 or any of that stuff. And I want to transmit that love and passion for sports to kids. And as you know from coaching, when you're running around with 25-year-olds, 5-year-olds, it's tough. You got to keep them engaged and make them laugh and be funny.
Keep them interested.
Yeah, keep them interested. And so I don't teach them offsides, until they get older. It's more just the basics, and let's have fun. Let's, chop it up. How was Halloween for you? Engage the children, let them know that they have a safe place to come to and, be.
You said sports saved your life. How was that?
Just going down, hanging out with the wrong crowds, all that same old story with, all these professional athletes. You either go one way or you go the other way.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not playing on a professional team, but I feel like I'm a professional because I get paid to play soccer, And it's like I could go this way and, continue to hang out with gangbangers and drug dealers and, drink myself into a stupor, or I could concentrate on playing sports and hanging out with people that are like-minded, healthy, So that's what I mean by that, And like I said before, it's my place to go to. So when I've gone through breakups or, trials and tribulations of life, everybody goes through them. Where do you go to? I go to sports, where a lot of people, they go to the bar, or they go to the bottle, or they go to, whatever their vice is. My vice is sports. The pandemic was absolutely atrocious for me in my own personal life because I couldn't play competitive soccer. And I hate running for exercise. And I was getting overweight, and I forced myself to run. And luckily I found a nice little group of men and women, seniors that play tennis, and we're playing during the pandemic. You can socially distance. And so I started picking up tennis during the pandemic, and that once again saved me mentally and physically because I had somewhere to go and socialize and be competitive and let out that frustration. And
in a lot of ways, it sounds like some of your life, Russell, where you have, sports was a big part of your life growing up, and then you became a coach, a trainer. There's different ways of describing what you do, but it's that mentoring, I guess. And how do you identify with that?
Well, I'm really curious, like the approach or the philosophy that it should be fun is really a mature coach's view. Like you don't get a lot of young coaches thinking that in the beginning. It's all about like, how can I drill them and get them to perform and do all these plays, and I've seen coaches at various stages, and the really wise ones are like, if you don't keep it fun, what's the point, right? And they actually are going to learn more, and they're going to be more interested, and they're going to be more driven, and all those things. So I'm curious to know about like how you came to that. But part of the show is about the San Gabriel Valley. So I'm interested in first if we can go into your connection to this area in the San Gabriel Valley.
So I came out to California to be an actor when I was 18. I got a scholarship to go to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Nice.
And I loved theater. That's all my experience was, stage theater. And
where did you come out from?
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Taos.
Taos?
Yeah.
Never. All I remember about New Mexico is getting there, and like it was so I could see what I imagined was like for miles, just the horizon.
And Taos is in the mountains, isn't it?
It is. It's the edge, the last mountain range mountains in the Colorado Rockies.
Okay.
So Taos is about, I want to say 30 minutes south of the Colorado border. And Taos has one of the item I brought, which is an interesting fact. Taos has the oldest inhabited Native American pueblo in the country.
Wow.
Taos Pueblo is famous, and it's absolutely beautiful, built with traditional adobe mud, and it's a lot of people say that there's a vibe in Taos, and a lot of people go there and they get stuck and they stay. So I came out here to be an actor, and hated the whole green screen, microphones, lights, everybody's bougie and, good looking, and it's not about your talents, it's about who you know, being at the right place at the right time. So I did a year at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and just said, I'm done. I don't want to be here in Hollywood anymore, and moved to Pasadena. And just by chance, I was wearing a soccer jersey, and this lady started talking to me about Real Madrid is my favorite team. And she said, hey, what would you like to coach little kid soccer? And I said, yeah, I would love to coach little kid soccer, get paid to be outside playing soccer. Are you kidding me? And she was working with my old business partner, Andy Chitzler, who owns and operates Assist Athletics. And it was just him and her and he worked with the Parks and Recs and was doing big classes and brought me on, and I just took to it like a duck to water and was able to engage with the kids. I think because I'm vertically challenged, you know, the kids don't have to look up to me as much. And I just started working with him and stayed in the area. And then, you know, I started to build my own clientele. And about 5 years ago, I broke off from him and just started private lessons, little group classes, instruction, multi-sport. Never done any marketing. It's all been word of mouth. I've been lucky that I've had some pretty well-known clients. The GM of the Dodgers, I teach his kids, and his wife during the pandemic was like, I'm going crazy. Can you come and work at my house with my 3 kids? We'll test you once a week. We get tests from the Dodgers. And I was like, yeah. And so I've been blessed.
Wow.
You know.
That's I would say not a common story, right? With people coming out to California specifically to get into acting. You know, like their reasons I think would be for all the glitz and glamour and fame and stardom. And so you were able to hold on to, I would describe as what was important and valuable to you. And you sort of went away from that when you got here.
Yeah.
That's in my eyes, that's an admirable thing.
Thank you.
So you left that behind and you had this opportunity to go into coaching. Had you ever coached before? How did you know like you wanted to do that right away?
I had helped out a friend, my mom's friend, when I was like 14 with her AYSO team, just because she knew that I played soccer and was very good at it. That's all the experience I really have. I never went to school for it. I never, you know, took a test, none of that stuff. Just fell into it. I know the game of soccer really well. I watch a lot of soccer, and I've been playing since I was 6 years old, and just had a tryout for a semi-professional team. So I've been around soccer my whole life.
What do you view as your role as a coach beyond teaching them the game?
Just being a positive male role model. Yeah.
Yeah. In looking back on people, adults now, you know, growing up, maybe they didn't have that role model at home, and you could see the distinction between those who didn't have that at home but had someone in their life, and most often it was a coach, maybe a teacher or a coach, but the role that person played is so important, and maybe you don't realize it at the time that you may be that only person that they have, and you don't really know, right?
Exactly.
That person who believes in them, who looks at them in a positive way, who encourages them, you know, like that's so important. If they're never hearing that at home, that's hugely important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have things that my coaches said to me when I was younger that I remember. You know, I had a really amazing coach in high school, and he said, look, your body isn't, right now, it's going to be able to do what you're telling it to do. But if you don't train, one day you're not going to be able to just pull that out of nowhere, pull it out of air. You're going to train your body. And that's how I live my life today, is like I train so that I can play, you know?
So you're still playing, but if it's not semi-pro or pro,
No.
you're playing just...
It's just rec.
Yeah.
But I had always, you know, dreamed. When I was 20, I went to see the Galaxy play, and I was like, man, I could play with these guys. And I had a tryout with the semi-pro team in Orange County, and I didn't go because I had just started coaching. And my mentality was like, do I go down this road of coaching? And, you know, I'm still around the game, I get to play. Or do I try and pursue my dreams? The MLS, they're not getting paid a lot of money. If I get side tackled or any injury and I break my leg, I can't play, I can't coach. So I made what I consider a mature decision and said, I'm just going to stick to coaching. And then about 2 months ago, I went and tried out for that same team just because I wanted to see if I could make it. And they offered me a spot on the team, which I declined.
But you... Now you know.
Now I know.
So aside from your high school coach, who are some of the people that shaped the way that you coach today?
I think it's, I lived in Europe when I was younger, and I don't think it was so much the coaches. I'm trying to think back on the coaches I had that had a big impact in my life. When I lived in Europe, we moved to Croatia or Estonia when I was 9 years old. My stepfather was a business consultant, and he went to teach Western business over there. And they didn't have English-speaking schools. and nobody spoke English. And so the way I would communicate with the kids is by playing sports. And that's how the world communicates today, is through sports, the Olympics, the World Cup. In my eyes, it's like what brings us together. And so those kids that brought me in, and we couldn't even speak the language, we couldn't even communicate, we're communicating through sports. I think that had more of a profound impact on my life than any one certain coach, was just being able to go overseas and just pick up a football and teach kids how to play football, and we'd be playing soccer in the streets. And and then we moved to Croatia 2 years later, and I played a lot of basketball there. They're big on basketball.
Croatia, is this a Chicago Bulls?
I know there's
Kukoc.
There you go.
He's from Split.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about like Vlade Divac was probably...
He's from Serbia, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And there's a great documentary on ESPN, 30 for 30, and it's about Yugoslavia how they were dominant. And then when the Civil War broke out in Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Croatia, Serbia all split. They were all on the same team, and then they were considered to be enemies because they had the Civil War going on.
Yeah. Now you lived there, but it was after the split.
I lived there after the split.
Yeah. That must have been fascinating.
Yeah,
huh?
I lived in Dubrovnik.
Oh,
which is
that's supposed to be a beautiful...
famous from Game of Thrones, King's Landing. They did a lot of filming there.
Was there ever an Olympics there? I know there was somewhere in the former Yugoslavia.
I don't know.
Maybe not there, huh?
Well, this show is to give a real deep look at the guests that we have, as much as they're willing to reveal. And part of that is in the item that they bring with them. So we ask each guest to bring an item of significance with them. And Paul, what did you bring today?
I brought an arrowhead that I found on my dad's property.
So it's black and made of flint for the listener. And that one's maybe about 1 inch long and maybe half an inch wide. So you said you found this.
Yeah. So my dad lives outside of Taos, and we own 10 acres of nothing but sagebrush and pine trees. And he built a geodesic dome that he lives in with his girlfriend. And you walk around the property, the 10 acres, and you find arrowheads like that all over the place.
Wow.
And this is the most pristine one that I've ever found. Like, you can feel the serrated edges. It's still intact. I don't think it was ever fired.
When did you find that?
A year ago?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That is maybe the smallest arrowhead I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
This is
it's quite
for bunny
small.
rabbits, is what my pops said.
Yeah, because it would put a hole in an animal that big that they might survive that. But,
Right.
usually they put a hole pretty much bigger, but that's really cool. So,
What do you mean put a hole in it?
Oh, because it
you
rotates. It rotates. It spins. So
How would it be shot? I didn't realize
So it
that.
attaches to a stick here, and then you shoot it.
Oh, really?
yeah.
But was this naturally formed, or
No.
it's...
They chiseled it. You can see
Oh,
the chisel
okay.
marks on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You've never seen an arrowhead before?
I've never really known the story of arrowheads. Yeah, I've seen them, but okay.
So how in your mind did Native Americans hunt? With spears?
Perhaps, yes. I guess. Yeah, okay. So I always thought an arrowhead was just, a rock that had been formed that way. But I see what you're saying.
I'm being a teacher and a coach right now.
Yeah.
Coaching Scott on
Yeah.
the ways.
There's many things I can learn.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
So does that mean that your father's land is on old Indian territory, or it's still on Indian territory?
Pretty much all of New Mexico is, at one time or another was inhabited by one tribe or another. I mean, I found a really cool, it's like a hand knife for skinning deer. And it's small as well, so it's not defensive. I found that in Taos, outside of the town, just walking around on a hike,
Are you familiar with Philmont?
Philmont?
Philmont, New
Philmont.
Mexico? It's the Boy Scout Reserve in New Mexico. No. I'm not really sure where that's located, if it's in the north or where it is. But the Boy Scouts have a large reserve that they own. I guess they're called the Scouts now, but
Did you go
I did,
there
yeah.
as a Boy Scout?
That's the only time that I've been to New Mexico, so I remember that. But yeah.
Well, you said you grew up in New Mexico.
I grew up there until I was 9, and then moved to Croatia
Okay.
and Estonia for 3.5 years, and then moved back until I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you
And
spent most of your life in New Mexico until you came
I've
here.
actually spent most of my life out here.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah. But until you came here,
Yeah.
your time was New
Yeah.
Mexico.
And then I go back because my dad's there, and my mom just recently moved back as well.
Yeah. So your father's geodesic dome is interesting.
Yeah,
And he
it's-
built it.
He built it from
Yeah.
from nothing.
And why? What's the significance of that shape? Doesn't it provide some benefits, whether ecologically or?
It's cheaper to make
Mhm.
because he uses hexagons or something.
Mhm.
So the hexagon it fits real nicely together,
Mhm.
and then he puts adobe, which is mud and straw. He mixes that, and then that's the insulation on the inside and the outside of the dome, and that keeps it really hot in the wintertime with the fire, and then in the summertime it keeps it really cool. And
This
then
is
he
his
has-
residence, or he just making this as a
No,
structure?
this is his residence. He's
Wow.
lived there for the past 10 years.
Wow. Do you have pictures?
Yeah, I do.
Well, we can look later.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I'm really
Because you
interested.
can, we could put them on
Yeah.
YouTube later if.
I don't know if he would like that. He's
Oh,
kind of out there.
Okay.
But I wanted to. He's always on me like, you need to get out of Cali, come out here, build your dome. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to live off the grid with you. I have a successful business. I'm not worried about the earthquakes or the fires. Or he's borderline doomsdayer. And
No.
he doesn't like to. I mean, the town of Taos is maybe 30,000 people, and he's like, oh, that's too crowded. Like he
Yeah.
rarely goes into town. I'm like, that's the amount of people I see on the freeway every day. But I went during the pandemic and helped him build it, another dome. So he has 2. And it was hard work. And I want to build one towards the edge of his property and Airbnb it out and give people the experience of living off the grid, because it's absolutely serene out there.
Yeah, I
you're
bet.
just, look at the arrowhead that I found. You walk around, the sunsets.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous and beautiful. If you like to fish, there's a river about a mile away where you can catch rainbow trout and brown trout. And
Wow.
a lot of artists go there because, like you said, you can see the horizon for days and the clouds. And but he's not about that. He doesn't want people on his property, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But it's okay. One day.
So yeah, it sounds like a really beautiful place. I'd love to be able to see more of the horizon. I really like that. When I travel, that's one of the things that I notice that's different. Leaving California, other places have just amazing views. But as a coach myself, I'm always interested in people's passions, what drives them, what motivates them. And I guess, for you, I'm interested in, do you feel that coaching aligns with what you are both passionate about and what you are good at?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you discover that?
Just by chance, by trial and error. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I've been coaching for 15 years.
Always the same age group?
I mean, I start at 2 years old and go all the way to I think the oldest I've taught is 16. So
Okay.
anywhere in between. But most of my classes are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then they get serious about
Wait,
Yeah.
you mean 2 years old or second grade?
2 years old.
2 years old.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
I do a parent participation, 45 minutes. Some of these kids don't even talk, but they're running around, kicking the ball, playing red light, green light with me, other silly games that I do. Yeah.
Wow, I guess you really have to enjoy kids to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like being around,
Yeah.
and it is mostly has to be geared towards fun.
Yeah.
So do you see that? Where do you see that change into something more serious, or does it with you?
You mean as
Developing
far
their
as-
skills, like saying, okay, now you want to become more of an advanced player. Now you have to sort of channel your fun into actual practice.
I mean, I think you should always make it fun. I think that, it's just a matter of getting a little bit more serious about it. And I am a believer that you should play multiple sports until you're at least, 12 years old. You should be playing soccer, football, baseball, basketball, just so you know what you really want to do and if you want to get serious about it. And I mean, I've had, over the past 15 years, I've had 1 or 2 kids where I'm like, wow, they really have something at a young age. But one of them didn't like to practice, didn't like to work. They just like to show up and play. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to force you to practice. That's your path that you want to go on,
Sure.
I'm not going to force a kid that doesn't want to. They're playing the game because they love it. So, I mean, in terms of getting serious, I'll recommend them to clubs, but I'll say, hey, look, it's going to become your life. And then they're going to burn out because they're playing club and they're practicing 3 times a week, and then they're playing on the weekends, and this goes on for years and years. Yeah. You're traveling every weekend to play in tournaments, and it's by the time they're 17, 18, they're burned out. They got injuries, they got issues. It's not fun for them,
So having coached young kids, I know that it's more, also not more, but in addition to having to connect with the kids, you also have to have something with the parents as well. Meaning, like, you have to deal with the parents, right? Like, some parents want to be super involved. Some parents want to dictate what you do, how you do it. And some parents are just completely standoff. So what have you encountered in terms of parents with kids those ages?
I've been really lucky that I haven't had those tiger parents, I think is the right term,
right,
where they're hovering parents. They see what I do and they see the value and they say, oh, he's got it. I tell the parents when they're 2, participate as much as your child needs, and then feel free to walk away and go check Facebook and do whatever you're going to do, but just hold their hand until they're comfortable with me. I did have one dad, his kid was very good at soccer, and he would yell at him, make sure you bend your arm when you run. And you could see, I mean, I'm not a parent. I'm just a coach. I'm there to do a specific job. If you want to raise your kid a certain way, that's up to you. But when you're here, I'm running my classes the way that I run my classes. And for the most part, I haven't had any issues.
What happened with that parent?
He saw the value. He was just trying to help coach a little bit. And we're still friends today, and his son's still playing, but I would pull the kid aside and be like, hey, do you understand why your dad is telling you to do this? Because you'll be more balanced when you run if you bend both arms. So it's taking what he says and putting it in a positive light, as opposed to your dad just yelling at you. Like my old business partner, Andy, he used to hire me to work with his kid because he knows that there's a certain amount of discipline that comes when you're a parent teaching your kid. You take a lot of that fun out of it just immediately by being their parent. Is this a chore? Is this, and then you bring in a coach and it's like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he's making it fun. Mm-hmm. So there's that separation that I like to have.
Maybe you've heard this, from parents, like from your older kids, but when coaching teenagers, the parents would inevitably come to me and at some point say, I say all the same things to them and they never listen. And then one day they come back and they're like, Coach Russ said this, Coach Russ, and they're like, yeah. Okay, I've been saying the same thing, but my kids are not of that age yet. But it's interesting, right? The influence that a coach has, that somehow their ear is tuned differently than from the parents.
Well, I mean, you think about it. You're telling your kids time to get up, time to eat breakfast, you're telling your kids constantly what to do and how to live their life, right? That's your job as a parent. Where do you not want that? You want that freedom to explore who you are and learn creativity through sports. And that's where I think the real gems is with the kids that can go and do that and just let loose and find their own path, their own creativity. So that aligns with what you're saying. Hey, the coach is saying the exact thing, same thing as the dad, but he's saying it in a different setting. The setting is, I'm here to play, to have fun. Oh, I'm listening now. Or as opposed to when you're with dad, you could be at the same park and dad's saying it, but you're so used to hearing dad say, do this, do that, structure, discipline, structure. I think that's the magic touch is, having that separation, if that makes sense.
Sure. I don't think that your demeanor is lost on the listening audience. You're very calming. You know, you're not very amped. I don't know how you coach or if you when you get upset with the kids, but I like to go more to your tactics and your strategies and on maybe discipline or connecting with your team. But let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
The legal process can be intimidating. You don't know where to start and you're unsure of what to expect. The attorneys and staff at the law offices of Scott Wormuth have been serving the San Gabriel Valley for over 35 years, helping people just like you navigate through the legal process and ensuring you're treated fairly. You can find them at law888.com or call 626-282-6868. That's 626-282-6868.
All right, we're back with Paul LeDoux. So, Paul, before the break, I was mentioning that I was interested, or I was commenting on how your speech, your presence is very calming, and I'm curious how do you handle maybe both discipline and how do you connect with kids of such various ages?
As far as discipline goes, I have 3 rules. Rule 1, just listen. Rule 2, be nice. Rule 3, stay together. If you can't follow those rules, I'm going to give you a warning, and then if you continue to do it, you're going to sit out because you're disrupting the class. And most of the kids get that, and they're having fun. So I haven't, as far as discipline goes, I haven't had to. It gets a little trickier when they get older, and so you just adjust and you try and relate to them on their level. What are the 11-year-olds into? The Fortnite, and you talk to them about that. So you want to disarm them is my thought process. Is like, if a kid's acting out, they're acting out for a reason. Okay, well, let's disarm them and then figure out what it is that's going on that's causing them to feel like they have to act out,
See, there's so much wisdom there, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's the approach of many people. Many people are like, get them in line, get the behavior to stop. It's all about behavior management and control, but they're never considering like what is behind this, what is causing that.
Right.
And I'm trying to get from you how you got this, because I think it's unusual. I think it's unusual for both coaches and adults in general to not try to use a hammer to fix a problem,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing it a while, and I think it's all just the cosmos, luck, the universe putting me in the right place at the right time. This is my huge audition that I never got in acting, and I just crushed it, and I'm in a place where I feel at home with the kids. They feel at home with me. Like, I had a kid, we finished up a 6-week session. The kid cried, and I got all choked up, because I was like, I've been with this kid a while, and now he's gone. And so I think it's nothing I necessarily did. It's just a matter of showing up and being present in the moment with these kids, and have been doing this for such a long time that you just pick up little tricks. Okay, this didn't work last time, and I don't want to say that I do that every time. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I'll fly off the handle and be like, you know what, just go to timeout. I don't want to hear it. There's definitely been times that I've done that, and that doesn't work, because then they come back and they're still acting the same. Okay, let me try something different. Trial and error. So that I think it's just been a gift of being who I am, being put in this position, and just being open-minded enough to learn from experiences.
I suppose, I'm thinking back, 2 to, I don't know, 7-year-olds or something. They may be rambunctious and noisy and loud, but they're pretty innocent,
Yeah.
Then you get into a little older, they may be more insolent in a way, or harder to deal with. They're going through issues at school and learning more about themselves and trying to learn about themselves. So you really have to take a different approach with these different ages, don't you? As you said, you kind of have to just put yourself where they are. But I would find, let's say, middle school age might be very difficult to deal with, just from my experience when I coached,
Yeah, no, totally. It's one of the most trying ages
Yeah.
that I've had to work with is that middle school, because their hormones are coming in, all
Right.
these pressures, and school's getting more serious. And
Yeah. And you almost need to sort of take a one-on-one approach with kids like that, because they are trying to really find themselves, and they need to be able to define and describe themselves. And do you generally coach in big groups, small groups, with these different ages?
Before the pandemic, it was, medium-sized groups, 10 to 15 kids. Then during the pandemic, it was like 6 kids max.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's getting a little bigger with the younger ones. There's still a couple of middle school kids that I work with one-on-one, or, 4 kids at a time, and just do little pod training sessions with them. But I've worked at schools in the past. I've worked with 40 kids at a time.
40 kids
40 kids.
with just you?
Just me.
Wow, that's
Basically
tough.
like a PE instructor.
Yeah.
And that's where my tone goes up.
But 40
lot.
is a lot.
Yeah. You're just running relay races and doing capture the flag, things like that, where everybody's running. Because I think an important thing, and I don't like teaching baseball because it's a lot of standing around, it's a lot of mechanics, it's a lot of waiting, and it's important to get these kids running. Like you said, Scott, they're rambunctious, they got energy, they've been in class all day long, they just want to run, let their hair down.
Yeah.
You got to find games where they're all running and, learning the basics of these different sports. So I do a game in baseball where I just throw out a bunch of spots, and it's tag. You got to run, you're safe on the spot. That's basically running the bases, but they're all running and they're having a good time. And then you get into more structured things with them once they understand, once they've calmed down a little bit, once they've ran a little bit. Yeah.
And it's funny, I remember, the young kids, there'd always be those one or two that would, say on a soccer field, they're just out there picking flowers or something and don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then at that age too, you can see some really talented kids. I mean, who are just way into it. You just are dealing with a lot of different personalities at once.
Yeah.
I keep trying to figure out, how you develop this stuff, and it's almost like your answers are, I've just been blessed. I have great parents and I have great kids, and somehow.
I'm sorry if I'm not answering your question.
No. I think it's just my own curiosity. It's not this thing. Nothing.
Better bring out that arrowhead.
You're more than welcome to come out and do a class with me whenever you want.
Oh no, I think it's fascinating, including your humility as a coach, as a leader, as a mentor. Comes through in your answers, and that's, in my opinion, always people are going to be more willing to follow someone like that because of that. And it's the people that are like the hard-nosed, very, this is how it's going to be, that you don't get that. I think of all these things. I've studied all these things, and when I'm looking at you, it's like you've come to this point without, like, you're just like, this is what works, and that's always really interesting. But what would you tell yourself 15 years ago if you could give that person some advice? What would you do differently?
I would tell myself, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Don't stress. The clients will come. Because it was really stressful. It was just grinding, doing a lot of classes, a lot of kids, never turning down work, never taking days off. Just telling myself it's going to be okay. You're in the right place. You're doing the right thing. The clients will come. Kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
So you doubted yourself at that time, or you were worried?
I just didn't see it as a future necessarily. I was like, in the back of my head, how am I going to make a living doing this? How am I going to be able to support a family one day? How am I going to be able to, buy a car or do anything?
So what made you stay with it then?
Just a love for it, I mean, I wasn't going to go get a corporate job or be inside. I mean, I've always loved to be outside, and like I said, I always felt like I was a professional athlete because I'm getting paid to play sports, and it always seemed to work out that, when rent was due, somebody would call, hey, Coach Paul, I got your number from so-and-so. Can you do a class? Oh, now I can pay rent. Cool. You know, like I said, I've been blessed. Right place, right time.
Well, that's a lesson I hope I can impart on my children, is to really go after what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And don't chase money.
Yeah.
And try not to work in a box.
I mean, if they get happiness and joy working in a box, that's fine too.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Well,
it's just finding your passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Happiness comes in various forms and in different places, and we're going to look into some of the places that bring you some happiness in the San Gabriel Valley.
Okay, Paul, this is the SGV3 part of our podcast. So what are 3 of the places or events or happenings in the San Gabriel Valley that have meant or do mean something to you?
I think that number 1 would be Lacey Park.
San Marino,
San Marino.
a private park. Yeah, sure.
Charges money on the weekend.
Charges money on
To non-residents.
Yeah. But it's beautiful park. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that park. You can go free during the week.
Yeah.
Walk around the palm trees. Number 2 would be Peck Road Water Conservation.
Oh.
Okay, I don't know that.
It's off of Peck Road. It's a man-made.
Is that in the city of El Monte or?
I think so. Border of El Monte and Arcadia, like right there.
Oh, yeah? And so what is it?
It's, they have a big body of water. They put, there's bass and carp in there, so you can go fishing. That's where I've been fishing recently.
What?
There's turtles in there.
What is this called again?
Peck Road Water Conservation.
Peck Road Water Conservation.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. You can walk around, and there's all kinds of birds and wildlife.
Really? I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either.
It's a beautiful place just to go and detach from LA and San Gabriel, the hustle and bustle, traffic.
So if you're in, let's say you're at Huntington and San Gabriel, would
so
you
go up San Gabriel, turn right on Huntington, take Huntington all the way to, is it Peck Road? Does Peck Road go up there?
Yeah, okay. Peck
So
Road
then
is like Monrovia, right?
Yeah, so turn right on Peck Road and go south.
Okay.
And go past, what's the name of that road? Longden.
Uh-huh.
And then after Duarte is before Longden, and then it's on your right-hand side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, Peck Road. Okay.
And
So-
you said you go fishing there.
Yeah.
What do you catch?
Bass.
You're throwing like plastics or hard baits or like
I don't want to tell you that. I want to catch a fish. Swim bait.
Swim baits.
Throwing swim bait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Don't steal all my fish, man. That's where I go.
He's a fisherman.
Are you?
Yeah, but
Where do you fish?
saltwater though.
Oh, okay.
So
we should go sometime. I've been wanting to do that.
Saltwater?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I've only been once shore fishing with a buddy in Oxnard.
Okay.
Caught some perch. Yeah.
Okay. Probably
And
not
then-
as exciting as bass then.
No. The bass are fun. I'll show you some pictures. I got a lot of good pictures to show you.
Okay.
And then number 3 is Pasadena is considered San Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
Number 3 is Little Flower Bakery. It's on the border of, it's like 5 minutes away from our spa.
Really?
Colorado Boulevard, you know, the bridge there, Suicide Bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that. You keep going, and there's a tiny little park there, and then there's, it used to be a Curves, but there's a chiropractic center, and then there's a little restaurant.
Oh, Stony Rock or Stony
It's right
Point
before
or
that.
something.
It's right
Okay.
before that.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
Rock, or Little Flower Bakery, not Little
Oh.
Rock.
So
Little-
it's on Colorado?
yeah, it's on Colorado.
Okay.
And the owner is an amazing woman,
Really?
entrepreneur, just like me. I used to teach her son.
What
in
kind of
sports.
bakery is it? What
So
kind
it's
of?
like a little restaurant cafe.
Oh, really?
So she makes the way she got famous is with her sea salt caramels, and she just opened up a bakery, and she has scones, lavender maple scones, and all kinds of delicious treats. And now they have sandwiches and salads, bowls, breakfast, brunch, all that stuff.
You should ask her if she wants to come on the show.
I'm sure she would be thrilled
Yeah.
Yeah.
to come on to the show.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman. Yeah.
What is her name?
Christine Moore.
Christine Moore. And the name of the bakery again?
Little Flower Bakery.
Little Flower Bakery on Colorado, just past the bridge.
Close to Eagle Rock or that area.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Wow.
So I like to support other people that are just like me, that have built something from nothing.
Yeah, right.
And she's one of those ladies, and we have a kinship. Her son loves me, and I recently just wrote and self-published a children's book, and I asked her if I could consign some books, and she was like, no, we're going to throw you a party, book signing party. We'll supply all the food. We'll do champagne, the whole nine. And I was like,
nice.
wow, that's wonderful. I can't wait to do that.
Awesome.
You know, that's what San Gabriel is to me, is when you find those people and you build each other up.
Sure.
You know, build up your community.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's not like, I'm going to consign your books, but I want 50%.
Yeah.
You know, where you typically get that. And with other people, is like, what can I get from you?
Yeah.
And that's what I hate about living in San Gabriel, is the cutthroat people being inconsiderate. You know, so I'm trying to bring that to San Gabriel, that mentality of like, how can I build you guys up?
You know, that's one of the reasons this show exists. And, you know, I think people who maybe don't come through and know me personally or Scott, they're a little bit skeptical. They're, you know, maybe guarded. You know, what do I have to do? You know, why are you wanting me to come on the show?
Mm-hmm.
But to give a voice, to record the people that actually make up the community is really important work. You know, it's not all the famous people and businesses, if you will, but people like you and your friend in the bakery that actually make up the community too, you know, and it's cool to hear these stories and to be able to share them. Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in, you only keep what you have by giving it away, right? I've been given a gift to be able to coach, and I make a pretty decent living, you know, and I want to give it away as much as possible. You know, my love for sports.
Sure.
My big dream right now is in the process of forming a nonprofit organization, so that I can take my skills to the children that, in my opinion, really need it, the underprivileged children that don't have sports in schools, that don't have access to a coach like me, that don't have access to AYSO. You know, the kids that can really flourish. I mean, we were talking before the show about your previous guests and how many people would be saved if we taught them about dyslexia.
Yeah.
You know, how many children would be saved if they had access to sports? It's just baffling to me.
Sure. Well, what is the name of this nonprofit or?
It's called Better Today, Better Tomorrow.
Better Today, Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if people want to help out with that, or if they wanted to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
They can email me. I would love to get more people involved, board of directors, people that are passionate about helping out children, donations. I have 501(c)(3) status in California, just waiting on federal, so they can email me. The website's coming together, but it's a process.
What's your email address?
It's Pablito, PABLITO, LEDOUX @yahoo.com.
Okay, well, that'll be in the show notes in case listeners didn't grab that. But one more thing to touch on. I think you're one of maybe one other person or two who has come on and had 3 completely...
Yeah. Every one of those was a new place. We've never had any of those mentioned before.
Yes.
Yeah. So congratulations.
I was going to say Burke Williams, but you already know about Burke Williams.
That's where we met, at Burke Williams'
Yeah, you
spot.
look different with clothes on.
Well,
Yeah.
Paul.
Better, probably. But
Paul, thank you so much for this look into who you are as a person, as a coach, and what you're doing for the community. I appreciate you spending this time with us and with the listener.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Russell.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
So there you go, another episode for you, giving you some insight and look into the people that make up this community. And again, if you want to reach out to us, you can always reach us at info@sgvmasterkey.com. And you can check out other shows on our website, sgvmasterkey.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the SGV Master Key. You can find the full back catalog of the SGV Master Key at sgvmasterkey.com and wherever you get your podcasts. This show was produced and edited edited by Russell Mono and Victoria Allers of Kind Monster Productions. Thanks again for listening or watching. We'll see you again real soon in the next episode.
Nice mother. No, kind mother.